Hey everyone, I'm Boone from Shutterstock, and today I'm going to show you a few creative ways to use mirrors on your next video or photography shoot. It's going to be a lot of fun, so let's get into it. The overhead rig is one of my favorite mirror tricks. So I've always wanted to have an overhead rig many times in the past, but I've always become frustrated when trying to set something up. While most people attach the camera in an overhead position via a C-stand, I'm going to simply swap out the camera for a mirror. The problem with putting your camera above is that you won't be able to monitor it, and it's really hard to access the controls. Once I get the mirror set up, I can easily move my camera around as needed. I can pivot the mirror to get around a 45-degree angle, which is going to allow me to shoot directly at it, capturing a nice overhead shot. The added benefit here is again that I can also quickly shoot other angles without having to disassemble the setup. So if you want to learn more about C-stands, be sure to check out Todd's video. He did an entirely separate piece on this. It's really great. We'll put a link in the description. So getting your camera shooting up from a very low angle can be just as difficult sometimes as shooting from overhead, but this trick is much easier to achieve as you don't need a rig for this one. I'll simply rest the mirror on the ground at a slight angle. In this example, I wanted to get a really low angle shot shooting directly up this stairwell, and there wasn't a lot of room to place a tripod, so the mirror worked perfectly in this situation. So depending on your setup, shooting from a really low angle can prove to be difficult if you have a viewfinder that doesn't pivot, or you don't have a flip around screen. Even with a tripod, I might have to spread the legs all the way out, and it takes up a massive amount of space. So using a mirror here made things incredibly easy. So the main reason I started experimenting with mirrors is because I needed to shoot scenes in very small spaces, and oftentimes it can be very difficult to get the right angle that you want, and many times you'll have your subject pressed right up against a background, which can look very flat. To help pull my subject away from these backgrounds, I'll use a mirror to add depth. While I need to change my focal length for this, it does give me other options when shooting in tight spaces. This is a really interesting and creative trick, and it's quite difficult to do with such a small mirror, so I suggest you buy something larger. If I place the mirror directly behind my subject and frame out the edges, I can then pivot the mirror to shift the background image. If I had a larger mirror, I could compose my shot a bit wider, but nevertheless, this is a really great trick. And if I use it in conjunction with lighting, I can have some really creative results. You can also use mirrors to creatively compose two actors in a dialogue scene. Here I can show the faces of two actors without having to rely on a cutaway shot for a reaction. This is very simple, yet very effective and useful. It can be used in a number of different scenarios. In this scenario, I can also creatively use depth of field to help guide the viewer's eye to whichever character I desire. Now, if you're going to be shooting with mirrors, there are some best practices to follow that are going to help make your shoot go smoothly. First, make sure you clean the mirror a lot. Anytime you touch it, you're going to leave some fingerprints on there, and those are going to show up on screen. Depending on how you shot the image with the mirror, you're going to need to flip it in post either horizontally or vertically. Watch out for wobble. When I would mount a mirror on the C-stand and I brought it to the end of the C-stand arm, I did get quite a bit of wobble, especially when I was walking around on my wood floor next to the C-stand. It was very hard to control that. Moving it closer to the actual stand helped minimize this a bit. I found it very challenging to work with a medium to small size mirror, so if I could have brought in a second C-stand and used a larger mirror, it would have made things much easier, especially for the background and overhead rigs. And last but not least, for all the reasons above, I suggest you hire an assistant. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you did, leave us a comment. Let us know what was your favorite use of mirrors in the tutorial, or if you use mirrors in a different way on your shoots, let us know. And as always, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.